So we can start off with roll call. We'll start off with parent representatives. Ruwaida Hamad, Lawanda Jones, Mary McCann,
Present.
Santa Montoya, Rufino Sangraviel, Community Representative Ruth Cruz, Israel Flores here, Teacher Representative Thomas Asensio Bonilla,
Present.
Balsam Majas,
Present.
Non-teacher staff representative Sabrina Woods,
Present.
student representative Anwar Hamad,
Present.
Principal Anthony Escamilla,
Present.
and with that we would have 7 local school council members present.
Okay. Thank you. So we will move into point 3, which is the approval and amending of the agenda. So we have the agenda in front of us. Could the council members please look that over? And I would entertain a motion to approve or to amend.
Can I make the motion?
So Mr. Asensio has moved to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Malhouse has seconded. All in favor, please say aye or enter into the chat.
Aye.
Woods, aye.
McCann, aye.
Woods, aye.
Escamilla, aye.
Flores, I believe that would be 7 votes. Motion passes.
Okay, so the motion has passed. And so we would now need to move on to point 4, which is to approve the prior meeting minutes. I think we would probably need to post those in order to approve that.
So to touch on that, I wasn't able to get the full minutes on that due to the recordings. I wasn't able to access the recording for the open session meeting. So I'm still trying to get access to that, just because it was recorded differently from the previous meeting. So I will be working on that. And I don't know if we got a motion to like vote on it next time or just bring it up next time. But I wasn't able to get full minutes on that.
Point of order, Ms. McCann.
Yes, go ahead.
Usually when that happens, we make a motion to postpone the voting on the minutes from prior meetings. We also, we bench them for the next meeting. And when the next meeting comes in, we read the minutes aloud so that if there is any discrepancy, anyone can raise their hand and make the proper corrections. Proper corrections are made, and then we can vote on those minutes.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
From our Vice President, thank you for that guidance. So if we do that, then I think we need a motion to postpone the approval of the minutes from the prior meeting.
So I'll move to motion to vote on them for the next meeting.
Okay, so Mr. Flores has moved that we can vote on approving at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second, Asensio.
Okay, Mr. Asensio has seconded. All in favor, please say aye or put it in the chat.
Woods, aye.
McCann,
Asensio,
aye.
aye.
Escamilla, aye.
Flores, aye. Okay, that motion passes with 7 votes.
Okay, so we will reserve that for the next meeting then, and we will have that available. We would move into then the point number 5 of public participation. Do we have any names of requests for public participation?
Point of order, Madam Chairman. Just
Yes.
a second. Mr. Flores, recommendation for the future. I think that Google Documents has a feature where you can translate your voice into a document so that when people speak or you speak, the document automatically recognizes your voice and gives you a text of that conversation. That's one thing. Second thing, you could also use Word, MS Word, and it does the same thing, just to help you out with it. If you record like you do, you can actually play that recording into the Google document, and it will automatically recognize that voice and take it into a text. Okay?
Thank you. That'll be very helpful. Appreciate
Okay.
that.
Thank you, Mr. Asensio. So we have Miss Emily Melby has raised her hand.
Yes,
Yeah.
Emily was invited to be part of the public forum. So we can move on to point number 5 in our agenda.
So Miss Melby, you have the floor.
Awesome. Thank you so much, President McCann, and thank you, Principal Escamilla, for inviting me. I know many of you just from past meetings last year, and it's nice to meet everyone who's new here tonight. Again, my name is Emily, and I'm here from the office of State Rep Will Gazzardi. And so we would love to attend LSC meetings this school year just to stay in the loop on developments that are happening at Foreman and to learn about other ways our office can help support the school from anything big to small. So I just wanted to hop on to introduce myself and to share 2 upcoming community events that students, families, staff, and the school at large can participate in if you're interested.
And sorry to interrupt. Would you like to share your screen so I can stop sharing my screen if you want to display something?
Oh, sure. I was just going to drop them in the chat, but I can definitely share my screen. Let me just pull these things up and share my screen. My entire screen. Share. Awesome. So the first event, as you can see here, I believe, is for, I'm not sure. Here you go. We're having a small business canvas next Wednesday. This is a canvas to reach out to businesses in our district to share information about a new grant program that can aid small businesses in our district. Businesses can get up to $150,000 in assistance, and this is to help with their recovery during the pandemic. So we're going to be going door to door with some of our partners and some volunteers from our office to share flyers and contact information for where businesses can go to get help applying for this grant. So this is a great volunteer opportunity for students who maybe want to get out in the community, or any parents who are interested as well. We'll have another canvas on Sunday, September 19th, which we'll send that information closer to. And I'll drop a link in the chat for that. And the second event is this recycling event, if you can see that on the screen. So this is a shred day we're going to have in the district. It's going to be at Avondale-Logandale Elementary on Saturday, September 18th, so in a few weeks. And this will be an event where you can get your document shredded on site. So this would be a good event to share with teachers who maybe have like materials in their classroom from last year that they want to get rid of in a responsible and environmentally friendly way. So we'll have document shredding, electronics recycling, so any old like computers or household electronics like blenders, TVs, etc. can be recycled. We'll also have prescription drug take back. So if you have any older expired medication, it can be safely recycled so it doesn't get dumped into our waterways. And we'll also have free rapid COVID testing there as well. So you can take a COVID test and get your results in 5 minutes for free as well. So again, this is in a few weeks on Saturday, September 18th, 9 to 11. Again, I'll put both flyers in the chat here and make sure that they're shared with the LSC. And these are just two examples of sort of the types of events and like community fairs our office hosts throughout the year. We're also trying to have bigger events like our back to school fair that y'all participated in and other stuff like that. So again, thank you for inviting me. If you have any questions about either of those events, happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll of course keep the Foreman community in the loop on what our office is working on, and as always, think of us as a resource for the school community. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Melby? Oh, they seem like very, very, very good events that will benefit us. So thank you for that.
Of course. And I apologize, I won't be able to stay on for the full meeting tonight, but certainly hope to join you again in October. And if there's anything you discussed that you could plug our office into, definitely feel free to reach out to me directly.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily. Those will be up on our website as well. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so we will continue with public participation. Okay, so if there, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, I think there were additional people that had signed up for public participation.
You don't think there were?
No, that was
Oh, okay.
I know Emily. I know Mr. Flores would receive an email automatically if they were requesting, and I spoke with Emily who wanted to be added for today, so I added her. But I don't think that was that. I think that was it.
Okay, thank you. So then we will move on to point 6, which is new business. And with this, we will be talking about fundraising proposals. So Mr. Escamilla, I believe you're the person who would have the information on the fundraising proposals and any progress on that.
Yes, I invited Dr. Blake, who will be sharing information on fundraising that he advocated for in the past and fundraising that he is requesting and wanting to inform us on today.
Okay, thank you for inviting Dr. Blake. Dr. Blake, you have the floor.
Hi, yes, thank you for inviting me to tonight's meeting. Yeah, I wanted to, so I'll start by talking about the fundraiser that I brought to your attention in the spring at the end of last school year. That fundraiser was incredibly successful. We raised close to $300 We'll be meeting as a club this school year, sometime within the next week or two, to talk about how we're going to use that fund, possibly a field trip to an exhibit at a museum that is currently doing an exhibit around LGBTQ history and the Stonewall riots. So thank you all for that this past spring. But I'm also here to talk about new fundraising for a different group of Foreman students, and this one is in relation to our Fine and Performing Arts department. So the fundraiser in question, this one is definitely a lot more likely to require LSC approval for, and that's because the goal of this fundraiser is we are seeking to reach out to local businesses in our surrounding community in order to solicit advertisement space in our programs. We're excited that we're going to be able to have concerts this year and art displays for our Fine and Performing Arts program. And as part of a typical concert, you would have a program of pieces, artist names, and then what we would like to include in there are pages devoted to advertisement space for local businesses, local communities. We would sell those spaces and generate some income. Additionally, during the events themselves, we are hoping to receive donations from people coming through the door, perhaps a suggested donation. I think I put on the sheet the form of $5, somewhere between $5 and $10 per person. Not required. We want to make sure that these events are accessible to everyone, but a strongly suggested donation. And so I'm hoping to go ahead and start fundraising sooner than later, and then that way we can have it all organized and put together in time for our first concert, where this will be in place, which will be on December 7th. And so, yeah, I think that covers that part of the fundraiser.
Okay, thank you. And so the concert on December 7th would be performing artists from the Foreman community. Would it be both students and faculty, or what's the kind of the venue there? The artists.
So the Winter Art Showcase is actually going to be featuring artists. So our own Foreman Chorus, our bands, our World Music Ensemble will also have art that has been generated by our amazing fine arts teacher in her class, or visual arts teacher in her classes. If we have been able to have any type of dance or theater activities, we would like to showcase those during these performances as well. On the form that I submitted, I also included a date for the week after that, which would just be chorus, Foreman choruses, in addition to a Foreman Community Youth Choir that I'm hoping to get started this year, which is available to CPS students in grades 6 through 12. And so I'm in the process of recruiting for that. And so hopefully that concert would take place the week after, and we would also be generating donations during that performance and in those programs as well.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone have any question for Mr. Blake? For Dr. Blake, sorry.
Dr. Blake, so just for the record, you said the following week would be for chorus only, and that what date are we looking at for that date?
So the date for that one would be, hold on, let me see. So the 14th.
Oh, so exactly a week afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, exactly a week after. Ideally, since if the Foreman Community Youth Choir is meeting on Tuesdays, it just makes sense to have the concert on that Tuesday as well. And then so that way I have my class choirs performing as well as the Foreman Community Youth Choir.
Okay. And so I have a question. So when you say the form that was submitted, can you explain a little bit more about what the process is, and then where someone else might be able to provide me some guidance in terms of where the LSC comes in terms of approving?
So I can share a little bit if you'd like. So there is a request for a fundraiser form that's completed. And if you recall the last time that Dr. Blake wanted to bring or advocate for a fundraising event, Veronica was on the call, and she notified us that for that type of fundraiser, which was all provided in-house, and that where students would come in for a movie night and buy like popcorn and snacks, that type of fundraising would be good to inform our local school council about, but that there would be no need to vote for that type of fundraiser and approve it by the LSC, but rather just informing our LSC. However, because we are soliciting and fundraising funds by reaching out to the community and small businesses, perhaps purchasing space for these advertisements onto our program, and it's not all just held in-house, that this would then require our local school council's approval. And just like what we're doing, asking questions, gathering information, processing it, and then approving it. And then on the document, there's a section where the chairperson would sign off on it. And eventually I can provide you that document so that you can sign off on it. But right now, for the point of our meeting, it would be to discuss it and then approve it.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the discussion, does anyone else have any other questions for Dr. Blake or for Mr. Escamilla or the other faculty members who are here regarding this event?
Yeah,
Well,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Flores.
So yeah, so I just had a question just in regards to the businesses. Like, do you have an idea of how to go about that? What businesses, or yeah, can you just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, and probably Mr. Peterson, Ms. Fitzgerald, and I, we're going to start with particularly arts businesses around Belmont Cragen and the surrounding community. But we're not going to limit ourselves to that. We would like to look at other small businesses that are supporting our communities. So ideally, we would like to have students help us in these endeavors. So if their families own a business, right? If they know of particular businesses that they go to, that they patron a lot, and that they could perhaps talk to them about these spaces, these advertisement spaces as well. We are absolutely open to anyone who is willing to help support our program.
Okay.
Did that answer your question? Did that help provide context?
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a great way to get the students to help with that, make those connections. Thank you.
And Dr. Blake, have you established like the amounts and everything that you'll be charging, or for the little spaces or the big spaces?
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. So we're thinking the way we have it divided right now is a full page would be $100, $50 for half of a page, and $25 for a quarter of a page.
Okay.
And so ideally, if we can sell, let's say we sell 10 pages worth of advertisements, that's $1,000 to our fine arts program right there that we can use for art supplies or music or other things that, especially since the costs have gone up a little bit with PPE and during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that was my question. I was just wondering if you can share a little bit more. If you don't have this information, that's fine. I was just wondering if you can share more of the details that you probably discussed with the rest of the department on how you envision spending some of these funds.
Yeah, so what we want to do first, so at the beginning of the year, we want to, I know that Ms. Gonzalez is working on our overall budget for the school and how that's going to be allocated per department. And so once we know what we have, plus the CPS Arts grant that we receive for $1,000 each year, Mr. Peterson, Ms. Fitzgerald, and I, we're going to sit down, we're going to create a spreadsheet to figure out what exactly our highest needs areas are, and then divide the money between us accordingly. Further than that, I don't have specific details or amounts yet.
Okay. And then, and kind of just if you could familiarize me a little bit with the accountability process then. So, you know, you've raised this amount, and then do you report back to the school or to the LSC, you know, about how much was raised and then how it's going to be spent? What's that process look like?
I believe that I report to the school with the funding, with the money, how much we've raised, and then I believe there's additional forms that go along with that. But I could be completely incorrect. I don't, Ms. Gonzalez, if you will guide me on that.
Most definitely. And just the background, I'm at the soccer game for the Foreman.
Oh.
So basically, once the fundraiser is finalized, we go ahead and create an accounting report that is submitted to the network, and the funds go directly into a sub account in our internal account, and is used for the purposes that Dr. Blake just mentioned. And so once that is in our accounting, in our internal account, the way it comes out is basically just paying vendors for the services or field trips or transportation, whatever it's going to be used for.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that. Any other questions? So in terms of the support of the LSC in moving forward with this and providing our support to the December 7th and the December 14th activities, is there someone who'd like to move that we support and approve those?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Asensio has made that motion for LSC approval of these activities. Is there a second? Okay, and it has been seconded. All in favor, please say aye or write aye in the chat.
I would.
Aye, McCann.
Aye, Escamilla.
Aye, Asensio.
I, Melhas.
Aye, Flores, and that would be 7 votes. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So with that, is there any other business related to fundraising proposals?
That was it.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to number 7, and it would start with a report from the principal, Mr. Escamilla.
Yes, I just wanted to carve out some time at the top of my report to provide back to our chairperson, McCann. Mary, would you like to share? I know you had a question early on that you wanted to add a suggestion about trying to leverage the entire LSC to lend support in a very particular area for fundraising efforts for the school. And I just wanted to give a portion of my time to you to let you share what your ideas were or what you're wondering about, so that either I can help or the rest of the LSC can help.
Yeah, thank you. No, I don't really have a concrete proposal, but it seemed to me that from the work that we started last year and looking at some of the needs in the program from athletics to other areas to fine arts, that just more of a reminder that that is one area that our contacts with institutions, our community, that we can help maybe in a, hopefully if we get out of the COVID environment to where we could see our role too in supporting the school, because there are so many different financial needs. So it was more just of a reminder, and I'm glad that the school that is taking the lead with Dr. Blake's proposal tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to continue to discuss that, and I'll share my principals report that may give us all additional food for thought so that we can think of how to leverage the power of an LSC to continue to make an impact on our school community, whether it's some of those things that you mentioned that we previously discussed or any new area. And I hope to shed new light on some things that I hope are going to be exciting. But I also want to make mention, just in case we need to talk about it now, you also had brought up the question of needing to, or bringing up the conversation of needing to reschedule our meetings moving forward. And I didn't know if that was dates or times or both. And did we want to talk about that before I jump into my principal's report, which is covering sort of a state of the school address, or afterwards?
Yes, I think it would be important for us to ascertain if if the 5 o'clock hour on a Tuesday is the best time. I do have some concerns that we're missing a few people tonight, so it seems almost like we need to reach out to the people who aren't here. Obviously, the ones who are here, Tuesday at 5 seems to work. I'd be interested in hearing opinions.
Yeah, I can't speak for the others, but I do know, for example, Santa Montoya, who was very interested in participating in our LSC, mentioned that she was working today, and I asked Mr. Stahoviak, our assistant principal, to try to reach out, and he confirmed that she was working. So I think she may be running into some conflict because of work. I also I try to send friendly reminders to everybody a few hours beforehand. I know Mr. Rufino didn't respond, so I don't know how much conflict we have there. But again, talking to them more personally, we can probably find out. Miss Rueda Ahmad, she has been pretty good with making the meetings, but I do notice at times she drops off. But I don't know if she has other commitments in the evening. But again, we can find out more information. I think for someone like Lawanda, who initially showed interest and then has not shown up to meetings, we can ask Veronica and look at our guidance or our guidebook to figure out how we would be able to replace her since she has not been attending. I know that there's a formal process for that. But aside from that, others here that are on the call can maybe share what their thoughts are.
I see Miss Woods has in the chat has said that 5 o'clock works for her. Anyone else?
Yeah, for me, Flores, this time works good.
I see our
I'm in
student
agreement with the 5 o'clock on Tuesdays.
Anwar and Ms. Malhas, Mr. Asensio, right, thus far said they agree as well.
And the time works well for me too.
And as for me, I'll make any time work.
Okay, thank you.
The only request I have is that if there, for any reason, if there's a cancellation of a meeting and you want to reschedule, let me know ahead of schedule, because as you know, I am paying for a trainer, and if I cancel 24 hours before the training session, that's $150 out of my pocket that I will lose. But if I have a 2 days notice, it works perfectly well for me. So please take that into consideration.
Okay, no, that's an excellent reminder. In the past, have members of the LSC like sent an RSVP to say, so that we could gather that information in advance, or has there been any mechanism so that we could know in advance?
I think that's always possible. And Mr. Flores creating the agenda, and in our organization meeting, trying to schedule the meetings far in advance, I think, and knowing when the meetings take place, I think as long as we create that mechanism like a Google form that triggers an email to Mr. Flores so that he can notify you and notify the rest of the team, is a possibility. I'm just thinking Google form because we're so used to at the school level utilizing Google Forms, and we can have those Google Forms trigger an email. Like if something suddenly changes, like I received notice that I have to work a double shift and I'm not going to be able to make a meeting, let me notify the LSC right away using this Google form that I won't be able to make the meeting next week or tomorrow or the next day. It's doable. It's certainly possible that we can create that.
Thank you. Anyone else? So do we need to, a point of order, do we need to have a motion to, to suggest that time and vote on it, and vote to use the Google Forms as a way of monitoring that? Would that require a motion and a vote?
I personally think that there's no request, there's no requirement for us to vote on something that we agreed upon when we organized the LSC for this year. But then again, that's just my opinion. Like I said, I am available as long as you guys let me know. I very rarely do RSVPs because I'm here. I'm always here. I'm always at school. And whatever happens, I'll make the accommodations necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Asensio. I don't think it needs a motion. What I can do is I can work offline with Mr. Flores, and we can create that Google form or RSVP mechanism. But as long as Mr. Flores doesn't mind receiving these triggered emails once a person fills it out and notifies us that they will not be able to make the meeting, it's going to be him to read that email and check his inbox. So I don't think it requires a vote.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Mr. Flores?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, great. Okay. So we'll move on then to your report, Mr. Escamilla.
Okay, great. So I'm sharing my screen, and I'm going to be sharing with you all a state of the school address that I presented to our staff. It has some slight adjustments because I'd love to hear from our local school council and get their input, questions, comments, or concerns, ideas, etc., with the things that I'm about to share. And so again, welcome to everybody. This was my welcome to the staff. Just so that you all know, we were all very excited, and I still think that our staff here at Foreman is running on adrenaline because there's a lot of energy, positive energy in the building with our students and staff alike. We are very excited. Our admin team has been in and out of classrooms saying hello and welcoming our students. It's just been a great 2 days. This data is as of yesterday, so it has slightly increased. but I have not had the opportunity to crunch the numbers at the end of today to bring you that. But this is as of yesterday, so I wanted to at least bring you a sense of where we stand with some school numbers. So we were expecting 607 students to show up as our full enrollment. Actually, at the end of day one, out of those 607, we had 487 students show up for day one attendance. So, which leaves us with 120 students considered in, these are more CPS terms, DNA'd or did not arrive. Then soon after that, that initial attendance, the 120 students that did not arrive, our team here's, our job is to try to communicate with those families and figure out what the issue was, why didn't they show up, what help do they need to make sure that students attend the next day. And so today we did have several more attend school, and so that did not arrive number has shrunk. To what extent, I am not 100% certain yet because I have not had the opportunity to, like I said, crunch those numbers. So we did have 80% of our 607 students that we were expecting, we had 80% membership on day one, which is decent, but I'm always looking for more and better. And hopefully years to come, we continue to improve this number. And out of those 80 students, or 80%, I should say, or 487 students, we maintained a 95% attendance rate yesterday. And so our students stayed. There were some students that became sick. There were some students where parents came to pick them up early for previous appointments, and some students, being teenagers, leaving the building, running out of the building and cutting class. So that's why the attendance rate remained at a 95% of those 487 students. So one of the messages I came in here really trying to establish, and I think I'm very happy that our staff has lived up to this expectation, is a distributed leadership model where we're working at improving our school, supporting one another, supporting all of our initiatives, and most importantly, supporting student achievement collectively. And so one of the things I'd like for you all as a local school council, and I know these are somewhat similar questions, but not the same, and that I posed to my staff. So I know people like Ms. Woods, Ms. Malhas, and Mr. Asensio, I'd like for you to sort of have the LSC hat on for today and for these questions, and think about your response as a local school council member. And you can feel free to unmute and share your thoughts, and this is everybody. As you have started to imagine Foreman students back in classrooms, what is an idea you'd love to see implemented by teachers here at Foreman that I can take back to them as food for thought? So some of us are parents, some of us are community members, and obviously our Foreman staff and teachers, but wearing that local school council lens or hat, you know, what are things that or ideas that you'd like to bring back to our entire staff, that I can bring back to our entire staff with the help of Malhas, Asensio, and Ms. Woods? And again, feel free to unmute as ideas or suggestions come to mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I would just say that I think that the fact that we're coming in from a, you know, from a pandemic, and that a lot of people's lives have been interrupted. I think I'm not sure with all the students, but students that I know, I think it's a little harder for them to set goals and kind of dream about their future because they know a lot of businesses have closed. You know, some students that wanted to go off to college might not welcome so much the idea of sitting at home and doing classes online. So I kind of would hope that we can kind of generate if you know, if the environment remains open the way it is open now, that all the teachers can kind of help the kids dream about their future goals and whether it's working or continued study.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else?
So I was just curious about like service learning projects and getting the students connected with like connected in the community. Like for example, the the volunteering opportunity that was brought up from the state representative's office, just like finding out ways to connect the kids at school with like politicians or community or businesses in the community, just to like have little projects there and like start expanding their mind on like career opportunities. That's kind of my train of thought, and using like service learning projects as a way to fill that gap.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we are in the middle of something similar to putting plans in place for all of those things, but I still would, I think it's still important for me to bring this back to our teachers just so that, you know, they know, hey, this is what our local school council is desiring, suggesting. How can we make sure that this happens, or how can we see more alignment with these ideas from our LSC? Because they're both very important. Anyone else before I move to the next slide? Okay, well, I'm going to be moving on with the presentation. I just want to say, as our first meeting starts, you know, thank you for working with me and believing in my efforts and believing in what we've accomplished here at Foreman in offering me this 4-year contract. And I just want to say I'm honored. I just thought I would throw a cheesy life cycle hornet on the slideshow because I did start here at Foreman doing my observation hours as a student teacher, and then actually my student teaching practicum here. And then I lived my teaching and coaching experience through CPS, and then finding myself back here at Foreman as the principal. You don't know how humbling and honored that made me feel. So I just want to say I'm very appreciative of your belief in me, and it just continues to fuel me to make Foreman a better place. And I wanted to share some accomplishments. And although I've been in place, my initial thoughts of the principalship were certainly interrupted by a lot of things. But I just want to say, you know, in reflection, how impressive it's been from our school staff, our teachers, everyone from our teachers to our ESPs to even our engineers. Everyone has worked with me in concert to really make a lot of great things happen here at Foreman. And I just wanted to share some of those accomplishments. So we have fully established goal-oriented professional learning communities. A PLC is a professional learning community. And so we've fully established our multi-tiered system of support team here that is a rock star, by the way, a rock star in our network office amongst other schools. They're always getting complemented by our network team. And we launched that here in the, while I was appointed here. So I'm very happy that we established that team. We established our behavior health team with our clinicians, like our social workers and psychologists. We established a fully functioning instructional leadership team and culture and climate team. We also have established goal-oriented parent organizations like our PAC, and these are functioning organizations. Our Parent Advisory Council, our Bilingual Advisory Committee, and obviously a functioning local school council that is meeting on a regular basis with quorum. Other accomplishments and other teams that have been established during this time. We have a recruitment team, or what we're calling an admissions team. We have a PPC committee here. This is part of the union organization that helps make sure that that I'm obliging by the CTU contract, but more so that we have this open dialogue with our CTU members here so that we can all live in harmony moving forward and doing the best that we can for Foreman. We have 2 of our Pplc members here on LSC as well, and this committee helps us make decisions for curriculum and instruction overall in the school community. And we are working to do our elections again for this team for the start of this school year. We have our Restorative Coaches team, and this is our security team. Our security team in the past had not met as a team. They would come in, punch in, do their job, and go home. But now, under my principalship and administrative team, they're meeting with a purpose. And so they themselves gave themselves this title of Restorative Coaches because I started to train them in restorative practices. And I did this because I had great success with this in the last school I was at as an assistant principal. And I brought this idea of training our security staff here so that they can be a resource for all of us and create a more pleasant culture and climate here at the school. We are a democracy schools, and we are democracy school. This is a designation that is a state designation that we applied, worked hard for to get, which helps us with funding for training, funding for trips, funding for the school to establish certain things that help us be more civically minded. And Dr. Blake is also helping lead the charge in this. We're going to be putting a new team together for this school year so that we can make sure that our students, much like what Israel was suggesting, that our experiences here actually make an impact in their immediate community. This is the whole point of a democracy school, is knowing that we are a high school because what we're producing are people that are going to participate in their immediate democracy and community around them. We have a COVID safety committee that is going to continue to function this school year in making sure we stay on top of student safety issues connected to COVID and staff safety issues connected to COVID. And so they're meeting on a regular basis, making suggestions and have a plan in place so that we can try to maximize safety during the time that we're living in. We also have a student safety committee, which is also known as lives within our culture and climate team. And this student safety team is creating a plan so that we know how to respond to student infractions and keep people safe, but also be proactive and not only reactive to student infractions. So we're trying to launch a mentoring program that's going to support our most vulnerable students that have not been in our building or have experienced our building like others, our upperclassmen have. So we're trying to create mentors for all of our freshmen and sophomore students right now. Other new teams that we've established this year, we are very proud to officially announce that we voted in a board for our Friends of Foreman. Our Friends of Foreman organization is going to be an independently run organization with a tax exempt number. Our operations manager, Ms. Leticia Gonzalez, was helping form this team, and we already have our president, treasurer, and secretary voted for. And I'm still a member, but I'm not allowed to be a board member, which is understandable. We don't want any conflict of interest in any of this, because this is, although a fundraising branch of our school, we want the board to be only influenced or the board to have the vote, but also be influenced by our school community, but not by their voting members. So they need a board separate from our school community members. But it is up and running. Now we're going to be working on filling our official paperwork so that we can be up and running with our fundraising efforts. And some of those things, just an FYI, similar to your request, Chairperson McCann, about how can we as an LSC help the school in this way. You all can participate in the Friends of Foreman, and then also bring ideas to the Friends of Foreman. So for example, if let's say we want to renovate the library, right? If that request is brought from our LSC to the Friends of Foreman, then you can, in conjunction with the Friends of Foreman, develop the plan and do the outreach for fundraising at a larger scale. Mm-hmm. We're also putting together our technology team. We all went one-to-one. All of our students will have Chromebooks in their hands this school year. They had them since remote learning. Our teachers have more access to technology more than ever. I've installed smart projectors in around 25 classrooms. And these smart projectors will no longer require like a dry erase marker, but it would just require like a stylus to write on boards. And we are just advancing with technology, and we want our staff here to feel supported. And for our technology team to also integrate students, because since our students have Chromebooks, we want to make sure that our students get trained in how to help one another. And so we can perhaps launch a fix-it team within our student body, where students can be trained on how to fix Chromebooks. And it may just be those technologically inclined students at first, but we're hoping to develop this and grow it within Foreman. We've also established our grade level teams. This is sort of now our skeleton for the school. I mentioned how proud I am of our multi-tiered system of support team, MTSS, also known as MTSS. And our MTSS team is designed to support with student interventions and knowing when is the best and precise time to step in and support students either academically, when they're struggling academically, or behaviorally. But more so, now we developed grade level teams to make sure that teachers that have the same students in common can begin to have more purposeful conversations around supporting students in the same grade level. So if I'm an freshman English teacher, I can have a conversation with the freshman math teacher, and it may be more meaningful because, again, we are seeing the same students. They're coming to my classroom, they're going to this math teacher's classroom and this history teacher's classroom. And so we're taking our MTSS approach to the next level, which is through grade levels. And we're excited about launching these teams this year. And by the way, we didn't not just launch them nilly-willy. We had a different team working at the end of last year and into the summer to put in our systematic approach to grade level teams. And so there was a lot of great minds. One of them is here. Ms. Malhaus was part of that team in thinking through our grade level team approach. And again, I want to emphasize that we're doing this together. This is not Mr. Escamilla's ideas and Mr. Escamilla telling people what to do. We're doing this together, which is what really makes schools work. Our continued goals for our school are still guided by our North Star, our CIWP, which are focused around multi-tiered systems of support, differentiated instruction, student voice, engagement, and civic life, which what we're trying to do is connect our students to more community engagement so that they can be involved in civic life. need to connect my computer here so it doesn't die. We still have more goals that we want to continue to focus on. We want to improve our freshman on track rate and hit that 90% rate, because freshmen on track, again, to just quickly recap that research, if our students at the freshman level remain passing their core area classes, they are more likely to graduate within 4 years. And so we were in the high 70s at the end of last year, and we continue to increase our freshmen on track data. We continue to make progress there. For the last years that I've been part of Foreman, we continue to make progress on freshmen and sophomore on track every single school year, but our goal is to try to have that 90% freshman on track rate. We're still talking about what our sophomore on track rate will be. Improving attendance. Again, our attendance rate has always lived in the 80 percentages. We want to hit that 90%, because again, attendance is also connected to student pass rates. We're thinking through alternatives to out-of-school suspensions or any type of punitive consequences, and we're proud to continue to revamp our Pride campaign. Our Pride campaign is an acronym that represents student characteristics that we'd like all of our students to embody, and that's peace, respect, integrity, discipline, and excellence. And we want to find those teachable moments within our classrooms to emphasize these characteristics, but also acknowledge our students when they're displaying these characteristics. So to go back to this alternative to punitive consequences, what we're trying to do is we went away from in-school suspension, and we're trying to think of restorative practices when it comes to issuing consequences, but we still want to keep students safe. If students are committing violent infractions that are higher in the student code of conduct, we will potentially suspend them, give them out of school suspensions, because sometimes it's just safer for them to have some breathing room if they do get into a fight, for example. But for the low-level infractions, we don't want to kick students out. We want to be able to restore that learning opportunity and bring them back into the classroom as quickly as possible. And hence why we're trying to think of alternative approaches to consequences. And our Pride campaign, we think we're going to try a new method that we think is going to continue to support that. And we're trying to acknowledge students when they display these behaviors of pride, and then create an electronic bank system. So we're calling them Pride credits now. In the past, we used to actually use paper tickets and give them Pride tickets, where students can store these Pride tickets and cash them out for T-shirts, notebooks, pencils, all sorts of things. And they'll still be able to do that. But we also want to be realistic. And so if we issue a detention, which here at Foreman we call reflection, again, trying to get away from that punitive effect of consequence. If a student has earned enough Pride credits, they can cash in some of those Pride credits to serve as a reflection served. And so we want to be able to be proactive in acknowledging the behavior that we want, rather than only reactive when we see behavior that we do not approve. And so we're trying this new approach through our Pride campaign, and we're excited about it. We have a complete curriculum moving forward starting this school year. At the end of last school year, our department chairpersons have reported that they had full curriculum ready to move forward for this school year. And for those that said we have some gaps where we don't have completed curriculum, we are helping them fill those gaps by helping them use the district provided curriculum called Skyline. CPS has created a curriculum called Skyline that covers all areas, pretty much all areas, that teachers can tap into these curriculums, these unit plans that they can utilize and tweak and make their own, or utilize exactly how they're designed to administer in their respective classrooms. more interventions during the school day through our seminar classes. So we have the majority of our students in seminar classes. These are opportunities embedded in the school day for students to work on classes that they're struggling in. So if their grade dips in math class, they can use their seminar class where they can bring up and address those grades that they're or classes that they're struggling in. And our seminar teachers have been trained and provided curriculum with the help of our assistant principal, Ms. Zaki, to address students that are struggling during seminar classes. Something important to bring up, which we received a lot of help from our Pplc, we surveyed our departments, our PLCs, and our individual teachers to get feedback in improving and clarifying our grading practices and our grading policy. One of the decisions made from that those conversations had been to continue with our no zero policy, but making some adjustments to that no zero policy. And in the past, we had a sliding scale to our no zero policy where freshman students, the lowest grade they can get was a 60 during the pandemic. And our sophomore students a 50, juniors a 40, and the seniors a 30. So a sliding scale so that to support our students during the pandemic, to support our students to be able to bounce back from failing grades and not give up. We also continue to put a pause on the traditional sense of homework where our students will not have additional homework to do at home in recognizing that students have during this pandemic do deserve more time with their families, do deserve our students here in Belmont Cragen and at Foreman want to immediately support families and have part-time jobs. So it's hard for them to get to homework. Another idea is that, our students are constantly in a lot of screen time and we want to limit that screen time at home. However, this does not mean that they eliminate homework altogether. If a student has an assignment that they started in class, they can and will be expected to continue to do and complete that assignment outside of class. So that may be at home. It's just the traditional sense of homework, meaning a new and additional task at home, will not be issued. I just wanted to pause here in case people had any questions about the no, zero, and pause to homework as it pertains to our grading policy. I wanted to pause for any comments, suggestions, or concerns about this. Any general thoughts or opinions on the no zero policy and pause to the traditional sense of homework? So again, I want to emphasize that the policy has been many years in the making while I was here, and it's been in the hands of several competent, professional, long experienced teachers, including, again, our departments, our PLCs, our PPLC, our individual teachers, and again, it's intended to support. So we're proud of that work that we put into that, the thought process of our updated grading policy. We still have a commitment to our social emotional learning, and this may tap into what Chairperson McCann was suggesting about, just acknowledging the times that we've been living through, and our teachers are dedicated to embedding social emotional learning at least three days out of the school week, but that's just a minimum. Some teachers have things implemented every single day at the top of their lessons or at the end of their lessons, but we're trying to commit to at least 3 social emotional experiences, learning experiences throughout the week. Session. Okay, and we're doing this again, I emphasize, collectively, which is the great thing. This is the first year we're going to be able to use our renovated science labs, which we were excited to have done in the last year, and take advantage of our teacher resource and planning space, which is new to a lot of teachers, even though some of our teachers had seen the space as it was being renovated. We are looking forward to renovating our library. I've been working with the Office of Librarians downtown to tap into some funding so that we can put new furniture into our library and bring it to the 21st century. We do have a new librarian in that space that is going to be helping us think through the logistics of the library and repurposing the library altogether, helping us support and maintain tutoring efforts in that library space. And again, as I shared with all of you, working with facilities, they've already been here to take pictures, give suggestions, but I want to say that it started, our conversation started with you all. You all, I know Israel had an opportunity to rub elbows with our aldermen, so did Miss Ruth Cruz, and they continue to sort of plant the seed that Foreman needs support and financial attention from our aldermen. And our alderman is still dedicated in helping us and think through fundraising efforts. But this progress that we've made, it has been with the Office of Facilities through CPS. And this is just me being that squeaky wheel and waiting our turn in line to finally get our number called. And so what they feel, although they haven't given me the official word, the people from facilities and design came in and said that they feel confident that we are going to be breaking ground, whether that is in our locker room area first or our field. I was suggesting the field to them, that we can hopefully break ground on our field this summer. And they told me that any type of renovation, if approved, will be happening this summer. So I'm excited about that. And again, this is all to the thanks to the collective effort of everyone at Foreman and all of our staff, and including our LSC ideas as well. Some staff updates. Again, this is we have a new operations manager who is Leticia Gonzalez. Our new librarian is Troy Love. Dr. Lopez is moving from our culture and climate interventionist role into a teaching position with us. So she will be working with our cluster students. And we have a new digital media and art teacher, Jean Fitzgerald. We have a couple of new SICAs. Those are the special education support staff. A seasonal clerk, which means she's miscellaneous and funded by central office, who's helping us do a lot of phone calls, supervisory work. And I know I just approved another miscellaneous seasonal position. And again, these are all centrally funded, so these are not impacting our budget, but do support our school tremendously, and we rely on them tremendously. I was able to repurpose funding from our budget to bring back our pre-engineering teacher who was impacted due to our budget at the end of last year. And the timing of it sort of worked out where we experienced a retirement, and we were able to repurpose those funds so that we can bring back our pre-engineering teacher and make sure that we continue our efforts through CTE and entice our families to take advantage of this special program. We also used our Moving Forward Together funds to fund a community representative and support staff who was also impacted. And so one of our at the end of last year, our community representative and support staff was impacted by our budget, but the district and the federal dollars that have been provided through these moving forward together funds is what they're calling them, has allowed me to bring back the employee that was impacted last year through the use of these funds. Other staff updates is that Dr. Corey Blake is taking the lead on our service learning and democracy schools coordinator position. Our security leads are still remaining the same, Diana Valenzuela and Silvana Panarelli. Those are security that have been here. Our athletic director is Connell Haynes, who's doing some amazing things in organizing our athletics program. And out of school time coordinator is Christina Nolasco, who works out of our attendance office. She's going to help us coordinate attendance for after school activities. And so I like to share this because I want everyone on our LSC to remain calm, that we are in good hands and we are making great progress in such trying times. And I want our staff to be happy. But wait, there's more. I want to bring, again, the attention to our Freshmen on Track that has increased 4% in, progress is always great. So a 4% increase in Freshmen on Track 2 years in a row. So we are at 80%. Our Sophomore on Track increased by 5.5 percentage points compared to school year 19. So we're still moving forward with sophomores on track. We had 100% of our seniors complete their Learn, Plan, Succeed plans. And those are just concrete plans for them to move forward confidently after they leave Foreman. Last year, seniors earned $1.2 million in grants and scholarships. In 2020, we also saw an overall improvement in attendance, but last year in school year 2021, which was the biggest impact of COVID, we saw a decrease in our attendance. It was at 73% last year. But I want to mention that I want to continue to ride that positive wave in attendance because we were making progress before the pandemic hit. So again, be proud. This is a message that I brought to our teaching staff and our staff overall, that we want to be proud but never satisfied because there's always room for improvement. This is sort of that teacher mentality that we always retain, that there's always room for improvement, and feel happy that we are in an upward trajectory with our data and with our teams and with our systems that we're establishing here at Foreman. So we want to continue to ride the wave, because riding the wave is the most difficult part. And we want to continue to be consistent with riding this difficult wave. As I bring this question to you, as an LSC, what suggestions do you have for us after getting this context? What suggestions do you have for us to stay the course and help us to continue to ride this wave this year? Any suggestions that you have?
Can
to
I
help
go?
us ride the wave? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we are on the same page. All of us, all of these LSC have been bestowed with the responsibility to move the school forward. This is the first time in 30 years that I see good energy put into the right place. I see LSC members thinking alike and bringing about the best energy and efforts to help us move forward. The 25th of this month of September coming in, I'll be celebrating 30 years of teaching. And it is my final countdown for the next 4 years, since I would like to retire soon. I am very proud and very enthusiastic to work shoulder to shoulder with each one of you. And I think that our responsibility is to continue and stay the course. I think that when we have these type of discussions, these constructive discussions, can only create good energy for the school. The faculty feels it, the student body feels it, the community is starting to see changes in our school. What suggestions do I see from the entire LSC to help us move forward? I think that I summarized that earlier. I think that having the opportunity to meet once a month, having the opportunity to discuss, having the opportunity to exchange ideas in a very civil way, in a very supportive way, can only make our things and our lives better. We are not here for ourselves. We are here for our students. We are here for our community, and we are here for our country. If we contribute one grain of salt to make sure that the things that are cooking on the oven are flavorful, I think that we are on the right track.
Thank you, Mr. Asensio. And I saw Ms. Woods mention stay positive and know that we take things one day at a time. That's a good overall message.
And I think that I agree that that being positive is so important. We have a nice diversity on our LSC because we have new people, we have people who very experienced, we have younger people, we have older people like me. So I think that everybody kind of brings a vision, and that's good. I see a very loyal faculty and staff, never miss. I think that those of us who are parents and community need to work to ensure that we have the participation we need. Quorum is great, but we do want to have everyone on board to the extent possible. I appreciate the fact that the school and under Mr. Escamilla's leadership has such clear plans, because it's easier to be supportive of a structure. And I think that we'll find our way into the support roles this year.
Mr. Flores, what are your thoughts? Like I said, all of this stuff that I just presented on was not easy, but we're holding on to those reins as strong as we can, as hard as we can. What suggestions do you have that may help us stay the course?
No, I think you've been doing a great job. I think it all comes with the principal reports. It keeps people informed, even people that are not in the school. They could jump in on these meetings and really be aware of what you've been doing. So I think what has been the process that you guys created is a working process, and you have accountability in a sense with showing these reports through the local school council meeting. So I think we're on a good track.
Thank you. Well, one last piece of information that I want to bring. So we are going to continue to remain focused on our, the district has not mentioned anything about our SQRP, which is the way they evaluate schools. They have not mentioned what it will look like this year as we come back to in person. But we want to continue to stay focused on our freshmen on track, increasing our pass rates, continue to talk within our teams to develop stronger curriculum that's aligned to standards, and ultimately see growth on the SAT across the board. We also I want to take our staff through reimagining and rewriting our vision and mission for the upcoming school years. The last time our vision and mission work was written, thought through, has been a while, and I think the pandemic has made us look at life in an altogether different way. And I want us to not only focus on supporting our student achievement and seeing achievement through academic gains, but I think we would be at a loss if we're not considering student and staff joy as a new element in our mission and vision work. So I'm hoping to take our staff through that. And a last announcement here is I just received probably an hour before our LSC meeting started that the district is now going to require our LSC meetings to happen in person. And so does that, and now it's made me think back to our original question of would we need to change the timing of all of this? So our district is going to make that a requirement. They will be asking us to move away from these virtual meetings and having our open sessions in person. So I look forward to this. I'll work with Mr. Flores to continue to hash out our agendas and make sure that our chairperson is involved. But does this change anything for anyone? Knowing that the district is going to open it's a good thing that they're now inviting our LSC into the building. Two, it's making me think of some original plans that I had in involving our local school council in like learning walks for within culture and climate, learning walks for our instructional leadership team. I think you guys would play a good role in those learning walks, visiting classrooms and such, and giving us your input of what's actually happening at the school level. But any thoughts on this?
No, I think it's good news. It does raise a little commute question, I think, for some people. But when it says it's transitioning, is there like an expectation, that this could take a couple months till, or is it kind of more like you better be there?
I will send you the email I received. It did to be honest with you, it did kind of come off as you better be there. But one of the things that they reminded me about, and it seemed like if they have your email, you should be expecting this same email. But it's also reminding that all local school council members need to be going through a CPS vetting process. So if you have not been fingerprinted, that you will have to go through that process so that you can enter buildings and be vetted through CPS. It's all about prioritizing student safety. But I will send you the same email I received so that you all can review it. But like I said, I just literally received it before starting the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And then I guess this is the end of my report. I know I saw Anwar, and I'm sorry, Anwar, if you're still here, if you had to leave, but I did notice her exiting the meeting about half an hour ago. So I may have talked too long for Anwar to stay on, but I understand. We can move on to the next agenda point.
Okay. Can you post the agenda again? Otherwise, I'll open it up.
Yes, I will.
Oh, Anwar is here.
Oh, okay, great.
So Anwar, do you, as student representative, would you like to provide any report or information?
Yes. So I did want to get back to where I left off. If you all remember, I made a survey during the end of the school year for all students to respond to last year. We got about 95 responses, which isn't too bad. And in the survey, I asked questions about after-school activities Foreman can have, and generally what we can do to make Foreman a better place for students. So I couldn't download the responses for some reason, but I will put the link in the chat just for you guys to look back at it. I had to put it in a Google document. There it is. So I do want to focus on one thing at a time. So I think it is best to start off with after-school clubs and activities, as we are within the first week of school, and that is what students would be looking forward to and are mostly concerned about. So during orientation, I only saw one stand on the second floor for clubs. though I do know that we have more than that. I am not too sure of what clubs are available exactly besides the LGBTQ Alliance that Dr. Blake informed me about today. The Student Voice Committee, we should be getting back to that this year again, and sports. So, can anyone fill me in about what clubs we do have this year?
As far as the people that have come to me, those are the established clubs. There has been a lot of interest in things like that have been brought to my attention about chess club, and then there was another list generated on the days of orientation that I know other clubs were brought up, and one that stood out as well from during that time that we were gathering that information was like a culinary club, so learning how to cook. But again, those are just some of them that stand out in my head, but are not officially established.
I
Right.
believe,
So,
I'm sorry.
oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
not,
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I believe that if you speak to Miss Jones, she was at one point she was running the Asian Club. I don't know if that's still active, but you can approach her tomorrow and ask her that question. Um,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll definitely do that.
there
So,
were other organizations that I believe they became dormant once the pandemic started. So we will have to reconvene and see which teachers are doing what, so that we can have a better understanding of what's going on in the building.
So one last thing to mention, although it's not a club per se, we had partnered up with the Mexican Fine Arts Museum and their another organization that lives within the Mexican Fine Arts Museum called CASA, and they had previously, before the pandemic, brought photography, gaming, and dance to our school, and I reached out to them during the pandemic because did not want to lose their partnership, and they said yes, they are still interested in working with us when we start this school year. So although it's not a club, these are offerings that that CASA would help us bring to Foreman.
I believe it was Miss Ingram who was in charge of that before the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Miss Ingram, our counselor, Miss Ingram, was in charge of that.
Okay.
right. So I was going to point out that we did have an fine arts club connected to the La Casa program. Lots of students recommended those, like an art club, drawing, painting, so that can definitely happen. Um, I also, looking back at the survey, I also seen photography, cooking class, activist clubs. I feel that that would definitely attract many students passionate about their beliefs. And I also saw dance class, like you mentioned, Mr. Escamilla, dance class, theater. Not only can these be clubs that we can create, but I believe they can also be expressed in assemblies, like performances. So once the SVC and I meet up, we can definitely start brainstorming all of this. And now that we're finally in person, I no longer have to say we just have to wait. So um, I'm also going to reach out to a few teachers because that topic was brought up last year through online learning. I know that Miss Williston and I had a few conversations about that. So yeah, I'll definitely reach out to a few people tomorrow, most likely.
Yeah, I think the next thing we would need is to sort of narrow down the interest and find adult sponsors for these clubs, and then finally take advantage of our earlier start time and use that after school time to meet in these clubs and maybe create a schedule. Maybe we can begin to think of a schedule just so that all clubs don't meet on the same day. Maybe we can, if there's clubs that meet once a week versus twice a week, then we can like schedule it out so that we have enough space and enough supervision for all students to participate.
In addition to that, Mrs. Camilla, Ms. Galvez, and I used to sponsor the Hispanic Honor Society, something that was freezed after we left on March of 2020. I don't know if she's going to be doing it this year. It will be interesting to see if she is. In addition to that, I understand that we haven't had a National Honor Society in our school for a long time. That is something that needs to happen. At one point, I suggested Ms. Ingram to explore the idea of coming up with a group of students for the National Honor Society. I don't know what status that is taking place now. I can have a conversation with her and see what she has to say if you want.
Okay. Was there anything else, Anwar, that you were wanting to share?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Thank you very much. Do we have a report from the Bilingual Advisory Committee?
I know my assistant principals were on earlier, but I know that we have not yet reconvened for our initial meeting with BAC nor with PAC for the start of this school year. But I know Mr. Stahoviak has been, during our orientations, been selling the idea of participating in the Parent Advisory Committee for this school year.
Okay. Thank you. Any information on communications or Freedom of Information Act?
I know Ms. Woods helps us in this area as well with these types of requests, but thus far, as far as I know, we have not been asked for additional information or communication through FOIA. And I think people are finding it easier to find things online because we're trying to put that online as much as possible and as quickly as possible.
Okay, and then we have both Mr. Asensio and Ms. Malhos here from the Pplc. Do you have an update for us?
I am excited to announce that we have started to receive nominations for the new Pplc. So far that I remember, we have 7 members who have expressed interest and are accepting their nominations for elections. I asked Mr. Escamilla, and he did send a notification to each one of the faculty members and the staff members to fill out their nominations by the end of the day of Friday, September the 3rd. The intention is to have elections. However, if we only have fewer members than what we expect, meaning if we have 7 or 8 members, there's no need for an election, and then we will establish a PPLC. If we have more members that express interest in having elections, then we will hold elections when we come back from Labor Day, and the PPLC will be established before our next meeting on September.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Yeah, just in general, how many members are there in the PPLC?
We see, I've always have this question as to who is eligible for belonging to the PPLC or not. I remember Ms. Jackson, Dresden Jackson, mentioning that anyone who has certificate is eligible to run for office. Traditionally, we have always used faculty members, but I would like to see more members of the staff that hold certificates be part of the PPLC. For example, I know that as a representative of those who are not teachers like Ms. Woods, I would like to see participation of those members of our staff in the PPLC because they have a word on what's going on in the school in general, and it will be interesting to see if that is a possibility. What I can tell you is that I will try to make contact with Ms. Jackson via email tomorrow morning so that she can clarify to me what is the process and if I can include more people from the other areas of the staff. so that I can make sure that they are participating and they become part of the Pplc. It will be wonderful to see that happen.
Okay, thank you. So then just one other announcement that I wanted to make is that Mr. Flores will be collecting signatures that we need, those of us who attended the August 18th meeting and voted in terms of the principal contract. There is a need to electronically sign a document, and so we will make sure that you all get that document in the very short term so that we can complete that function. So keep your eyes open for that communication. If we've completed the reports, I would say that in public participation, we have no one signed up. Is there anyone who would wish to participate at this time? Let's establish then the date for the next Tuesday toward the end of September at 5 p.m. Looking at calendars, the 21st or the 28th?
I believe it was the 28th that we decided. Let me double check.
That would be the last. There we go. Oh, it says the 21st.
21st, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a reminder that it is the 21st. Okay, with that, I think that we're open to a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Yes, I move that we adjourn the meeting for August 31st, 2021 at 6:49 p.m. for Foreman High faculty, for Foreman High School Local School Council.
Is there a second to Mr. Asensio's motion?
A second.
Ms. Wood seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Mia, aye.
Woods, aye.
Aye, Asensio.
Flores, aye.
Okay.
That would be 7 votes. The motion passes.
Okay, so the meeting is adjourned, and thank you all very much.
Thank you. Good
Thank
afternoon,
you all.
everyone.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.